So today's tutorial is going to be on these absolutely adorable little Christmas ornaments for the Christmas tree. Okay, in my family we celebrate Christmas, and these ornaments are actually really sentimental to me because this is seriously like the first Christmas in 2 years with the whole coronavirus pandemic going on that my family and I are going to be able to spend Christmas together. So hopefully you guys are willing to join me on this very sentimental tutorial for myself. I figured that, we're getting together for Christmas. The one thing that we can all have that we can share together is a Christmas ornament, and make it the family Christmas ornament, and everybody can have the same ornament for years to come. So what we're going to need for this, we are going to need some Red Heart Super Saver green yarn. I don't care what color green you are using. I am using one that is called Patty Green. I am using Red Heart Super Saver's red metallic yarn. And I am also using a ball of white yarn for the edging. The one that I just showed you a minute ago was kind of like my test run for these wreaths while I was sitting in my car today on how I was going to make these things for my family. I always had this concept of having a wreath in the back of my head of what that I wanted to make for them. And you're going to need yourself some bells, whether they're silver or gold, it doesn't really matter. If you want to do the little gem in the pendant that says 2021 on it, I got all of these bells and pendants on Amazon. And the Red Heart Super Saver I generally just buy at my local Walmart. You will also need a regular sewing needle. You will need some thread. You will need possibly a tapestry needle, some scissors, and we are going to be using a 5mm crochet hook. Okay, I know that is a lot of stuff that we need, but right now, if you don't have all those things, that is okay. You can, by all means, just follow along with the regular tutorial on this and then embellish your wreaths later, because let's face it, I have about 16 of these to make. So we're also going to need some form of a round ring. Whether it's a hair tie or you chain like 7 or 8 chains and make it into a ring, you're going to need something to make a ring with. My original design for these was just, I crocheted up 8 or 10 chains and I made a loop out of it. Okay, so let's grab our stuff. Obviously, I have my cup of coffee sitting next to me. We're going to start with our slip knot. Bada beep, bada boop. Okay, we are going to take our crochet hook into the center of this hair tie. I am using a hair tie. You can use the ring off of a milk jug. You can use whatever you would like. And we are going to go in, we're going to pull our ring, we're going to pull our ring up just like we would if it was a stitch, and we're going to go 1, chain 1, 2, and 3. And this first chain 3, and this is how we are attaching our yarn right onto this ring, is by that slip knot. Okay, so we are going to continue doing 32 double crochets into this ring. Now, if your ring is not as big as mine, you may have to adjust your double crochets. They just have to be multiples of 2, and this pattern will work. So go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. That is 1 double crochet. Go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And I'm going to continue doing this until I have 32 double crochets going around, because that's the divisible of 2 that works for my ring. And I'm going to be working this tail in around as I go as well. Okay? When I come back, I will show you how to do round number 2. But all this is right now here is doing 32 double crochets into this center ring, whatever ring you're using. And when we're done, I'll be back and we will move on to the edging of our wreath. Okay, so I am back at number 32. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to slip stitch into that top chain. Okay, now this is the part where we're going to cut and tie this off. We're going to, obviously, you know how I like to do this. I like to make sure that my pieces are secure. So I'm going to chain up 2, I'm going to snip my work. And at this moment, I want to weave in this tail because I don't want to see this tail. And if you have any little fray tails back here from your tail earlier, just pull it a little tight just to get it so that it cinches in. Okay, and stretch that back out, and that tail is totally hidden. Okay, so make sure that you identify which is the front of your piece. Like, this is my front and this is my back, so that when you're working with it, you make sure that all your little attachments go on the front of it. Okay, and you know, when I look into my camera to see what I'm doing, it doesn't always look as good as when I actually get it to my PC to edit and upload. So anyways, we are gonna try to hide this tail, so I'm just gonna go in through like a few stitching here. Okay, I want to go in about like three or four different areas of stitching, just so that it's hidden in the back and everything's tucked in. I'm trying not to hit these around the front because we're going to be doing something with those in a little while later. Okay, and that should be plenty to hide this in, and it should be long enough that I don't have to worry about this thing coming out. Okay, now we're going to put this away for later. Alright, so now I have my little green ring. At this moment I have a green ring. I am going to grab my white, and we are going to join our white just kind of like we joined when we did our granny squares. We're going to make a slip knot. Okay, and I like to make my slip knots a little bit longer just so I can hide everything in. I want to snip this piece off because it's a little frayed. A lot of times, sometimes my yarn gets frayed. And I want to pick a really good starting chain. Okay, so right here looks like a really good start for me. Okay, and I'm going to pull this knot up to my hook just like we did earlier. Okay, and we're going to bring this down. We're going to bring this loop up. Oops. There we go. And we're going to do one single crochet. Okay, we're going to be doing a single crochet V-stitch right now. So that's our first single crochet, chain 2, 1 and 2. And we're going to do a single crochet right back into that same space where we just chained up. Okay, and then we're going to skip a chain. Okay, so we did our V-stitch here. We're going to skip one. We're going to the next. We're going to go into the next chain over. We're going to pull up a loop, do a single crochet, chain and chain, and another single crochet into the same stitch. Skip a stitch, single crochet, V-stitch. Bring up a loop, do one single crochet, a chain and a chain. Go in, pull up a loop, another single crochet right in the same stitch. Okay. Skip a chain. In the next chain, single crochet, V-stitch. So one single crochet, chain, chain, and another single crochet in the same stitch. So if you watched my infinity V-stitch double crochet scarf, this is kind of the same concept but with single crochet instead of double crochet. Skip a chain, go in, pull up a loop, chain, chain, single crochet in the same thing. And what this is doing is it's creating this really adorable, pretty little edging around our wreath. So I am going to continue skipping one chain, going into the next, doing one single crochet, chain, chain, and another single crochet in the same stitch. Skip a stitch, one single crochet, chain and chain, another single crochet, skip stitch. That's why this has to be divisible by 2. Single crochet, chain, chain, single crochet in the same stitch. So our repeat for this is single crochet, chain, chain, single crochet in the same stitch, skip a stitch, single crochet, chain, chain, single crochet in the same stitch, skip a stitch. And you're going to continue doing that all the way around until we are at the end. Okay, so I am back around where I started, and of course, when we started this, we started with a single crochet V stitch, and we are skipping that. So we are going to go right into this top chain, and we are just going to slip stitch into there and join these together. Now I want to create my little, at this moment I want to create my little loop that's going to hang, and I want to make sure it goes right back into this stitch because it's going to be a lot nicer. And this is now going to be my center for everything. Okay, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 loops, and we're going to slip stitch right back into the chain right next to it. Okay, so I'm not going to go this way because it's going to make it a little off-centered. I'm going to go to this chain right this way, and I'm going to just slip stitch this right into place. The way I've seen these done, or seen people doing like wreaths and things, what I didn't like was that they just put a little loop there, and the loopy-loop just didn't look like it was meant to hold onto a tree. So I kind of decided that, you know, when I was going to do mine that were a little bit different. I mean, everyone does their own thing as far as, and that makes our cute little spot where we can hang it from on our Christmas tree. Okay, or if you don't have a Christmas tree, your window, or hey, maybe hang it on a mirror. Okay, so I'm going to weave in these tails now, so I'm not weaving in tails later. This one here is super, super short, and I just want to hide it slightly. I'm not going to over dramatize it because it's not going to go very far. I don't want it really on the green, and because it's so short, I'm going to put my needle through. I didn't do a very good job of like hiding this one when I first started this part. And this video is going to get super long, and I'm going to have to cut out so much of it, and there's going to be stuff I'm going to be like, I can't cut that out. So this happens a lot with my videos because you know, there's a lot to do, and I want to make sure that I try to give you guys as much information as I can, because a lot of you that are watching are beginners, and I love the fact that you guys are watching. I thank all of you so much for watching, because I just started doing the crocheting part of this, and boy, did I not realize how many people look for crochet videos. So thank you so much for watching. And hey, if you like what I'm doing, hit that little like button. If you like it even more, subscribe. What I wouldn't give to get to 20 subscribers by like Christmas, that would be a nice Christmas present for me. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Having subscribers. Having everybody see my cute little ornaments and my cute little ideas. I love it. I never realized, like years ago when I started doing like 15 years back when I started crocheting, where it would take me as far as like crocheting. And then I had people like asking, can you show me how to crochet? I said, well, you know what? I have a YouTube channel. Why not stick stuff on my channel? So here is the start of our thing, and now we're going to do the embellishing. And I did not over embellish my wreaths. I kept it very super simple. Right now we're going to grab our red. If you are using red, you're going to grab your red. You're going to cut yourself a super long piece. Oops, I didn't need that long of a piece. And we're just going to snip it. Okay, I want a long enough piece that I can go around this guy at least once. Okay. This is the part where you're going to say, but Liz, I thought you said you don't sew. And this is the part where I'm going to say, I don't really sew, but when it comes to little projects like this, we're going to sew. Okay, so we know that our loop is like right here at the top. So we're going to go right about here. We know that this is where our center of this. We are going to go about a couple stitches over from that. And I'm going to go kind of close to the center ring. And I'm going to go in and we can barely see any of that red coming out through the back, okay? So here's my center. I went over a couple pages because I want to make, or a couple stitches, because I want to make sure I have enough room to make my bow. Okay, and I don't want to pull this all the way through. Okay, so then I'm going to skip these 2 stitches here, and I'm going to go into the next 2 stitches, and I'm going to go in underneath so that the red's not showing through. Okay, and that's going to give that beautiful red that's just going around. That's just super, super simple. I'm going to skip over 2 stitches. I'm going to go in. I'm going to put my yarn through. I'm going to make sure that I can't really see my yarn needle in the back. Okay, because remember, I like to hide my yarn inside this project. Okay, and then we're going to go over these 2. We're going to skip these 2. We're going to go up to this top one. And I want to make sure that my yarn is slightly hidden. Pull it through. And I'm only going through like 2 stitches at a time around this, you guys. Okay. I'm going to skip these 2. I'm going to go into here. And we're going to skip another 2. Okay. I'm just pulling my yarn through, and I really love, love, love this metallic. It's just going to give it a little bit of sparkle going around. Okay, and I'm down to my last 2, and this is where I'm going to end up, probably this is the last time I'm going to go around something. Well, I know it's the last time I'm going around, but this is probably the last 2 stitches I'm going through. And now all of my, everything looks pretty well even. I'm actually pretty happy with this. So, and if you want to adjust your thread going through so you have a little bit of a longer tail, you can do that. And look, and see the back of it, how the red is not coming through. I'm basically just slipping my tapestry needle like in between the stitching so that it's hidden in the back. Okay, so there's a clear front and back of this. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to kind of just come in and snip this guy off. And we are just going to tie a bow. However you know how to tie a bow, you tie a bow. I'm going to do this so that maybe I can actually attach the bell on it. Now, I am more partial to silver than I am gold. Or should I say silver rather than gold, but everybody's got their own preference. Now, I don't want to make this too tight because I'm going to put a bell in the middle of this at some point here. Okay, right now I just want to get this bow on here and make it a bow. Okay. And right now, as you can see, I have a bow. It's a little bit twisted, but I have a bow. And I'm just going to bring this tail down forward just to get it out of the way. I'm going to make sure on this that my loops are even. Okay, so right now this guy's a little crooked. I'm going to fix that and make sure she looks even. And I'm going to pull my little tail just to make sure that my loops look even on both sides and that I am totally happy with my loops, because that right there in the middle is where my bell is. Now you could do these and totally leave it like this and just snip these guys off and they'd be perfect just like that. Now I always have to take things to the next level though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my bow over just a little bit more because I'm not totally satisfied. I'm never satisfied with this stuff. I always think of, is there something that I can do better than what I just did? And, you know, but that's just me, little Miss Perfectionist. I can't help it. It is who I am. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with my bow where it is because I'm going to end up coming in here with a bell anyways. So nobody's really going to notice that too much. And I'm going to snip off these little tails. And like I said, you could totally leave this just like this and it would be perfectly fine, okay? And I'm having a hard time focusing on which way is straight because I think my camera's a little crooked today. So anyways, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to grab one of my bells. Because this video is turning into a super long video instead of a semi-long video. And what I did earlier today is and like I said once before, there may be a better way to do this. And if you know a better way of sewing things on, by all means, I'm all ears because, well, I am definitely not the master of sewing. I am anything but. And basically what I did was, first of all, I got a hold of my sewing needle, which I actually have to find my sewing needle because it actually fell in my car somewhere. This is just an extra one that I have. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to thread the eye on this thing, which if any of you have tried to thread an eye on a really tiny sewing needle, you know how tricky that can be. In any sense, though, I got that with no problem. What I did earlier with this was I actually put my knot at the end of this, a small knot. This way it wasn't totally visible. And I came into my bell because I wanted to make sure that my bell was completely attached to the thread. Okay. And we're going to be able to, basically, we're going to end up hiding this. I got to make sure that the knot's at the end though. Okay, what I did was I came in here, I did not stab myself with a sewing needle, and I put the needle through the thread and made it so that my bell was totally attached. Okay. Okay, you guys, I had to take a brief moment of a break because I had to go find my sewing needle that went flying. But what we're going to do is we're going to go in through here and underneath, and we're going to pull this bell up to the bow. If it doesn't land in the spot I want it to, I'm going to move it to the spot I want it to go to. But this is basically all this is attaching this bell right to this bow. And we are just basically sewing this around and around and around, and eventually our bow and our bell are going to attach together. And I'm going to go right through the bottom of the bell, which has a little loop, and I'm going to put my thread right through there. And with a few rounds, our bow and our bell will be attached completely. Okay, this can be a little tricky at first, figuring out which way you're going to go, if you're hitting a knot, where your sewing needle is. Now remember, I did this earlier while I was sitting in a car, and I want to pay attention to where my tails are from my bow. Right now, my bell and my bow are completely attached at this moment. Now, what I want to do with my thread, because I don't really want my thread showing too much, and I think just to be on the on the side of safety here, I'm going to go around one more time with my bell and my bow. Okay, I'm going to run this right through the back, up through the middle, and I'm going to go right into the little center of that bell to make sure that she's attached completely and she's not going anywhere. And I'm going to take my thread and I'm going to go right back behind here underneath the hair tie so that it's totally 100% hidden, out of the way of everybody, and I'm not going to stab myself again. And now my bell is completely attached to the front of my wreath. Now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to make a little knot behind here. I'm just going to pick up one of those little loops in the back, like one of the little stitching, and I'm going to make a knot so that this is completely attached and it's knotted up. Now I'm trying not to show too much thread in the back, so just like previously, I'm going to run my sewing needle through my stitching so that this is not showing. I'm going to pull this up and I'm going to snip it off. And now my bell is completely attached. Now we are going to do the same thing with our little emblem, just a tiny bit differently. I want to make a little bit of a bigger knot. Okay, but it's going to be the same basic concept of what we just did. I'm going to put my little emblem through my sewing needle, and we are going to make sure that I get right at my knot, and on the end we're going to run this through, and I want to bring my, I don't really want this knot showing anywhere. Okay, here is my little emblem. I'm gonna, and she's all threaded onto the thread. See how she's attached to my string here? Okay. Basically, I just did a little slip knot type thing with that and slipped it right onto the end of my sewing needle. I'm gonna follow my loop here, and this is exactly where I'm going to attach my emblem. It's right here in the center. I'm gonna go up, and I'm gonna pull this up, and I'm gonna make sure that my 2021 is facing the correct way. Okay, because once you put in another round of thread, that 2021 is not going anywhere as far as that's concerned. You might have to hold on to your thread a little bit, and now my 2021 is completely attached. I'm going to run another line of thread going this way, so it's attached in like 3 areas, 3 sections, but I only want small sections. I don't want any real large areas that this is going to be attached to. And I'm going to run my sewing needle to the back of my wreath. Okay, and now my 2021 is totally attached, and just like before, I'm going to run my sewing needle into a small area back here just to make my knot to tie it off. And once we are done with this, our wreath will be complete. I know this was a lot of steps, and everybody's going to say, so much work for a little bitty thing. But you know what? For family, it's worth it every single time. And now I have this beautiful little wreath that my family can hang from the Christmas tree, and they are going to love it for years to come. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this tutorial on how to make this adorable little 2021 ornament wreath for the Christmas tree. I know I had a blast making it with you. Again, you don't have to do these extra little embellishments. I did them just because this year is just so special to my family. So from my family to yours, happy holidays. Remember, have fun with what you're doing and keep it real, because that's what I do every single day. Thank you guys for watching how to make this little wreath ornament. I know I had a blast making them with you. Bye, you guys. Happy crocheting.